welcome to the Mindset Michele TV show. We're so super excited for you to be joining us for yet another incredible, amazing episode with one of my favourite superstars who I have watched from afar for many years now, and today have had the real pleasure of meeting. So please welcome the lovely Annette Densham. Hello, Annette.
Hello, Michele. We made it. You know, isn't it what they say, best laid plans of mice and men?
It is definitely best laid plans of mice and men. And I think it's also that small business owner or entrepreneur resilience and determination to make things happen that ends up making things happen. So today, yes, we have the lovely Annette. And as I said, I've been watching her career and watching her work unfold for a number of years. But for those of you that aren't aware of who she is, she's the owner and founder of the Audacious Agency. And for some people, they might not know what that is, but it's around PR, business writing, and she helps, and this is so exciting, she helps other people really shine, other businesses really shine with their PR and awards, you know, celebrating their wins, etc. But before we go too much into all of that, I'm so fascinated about Annette, the person. How did you come to be doing what you're doing, and what is it that made you so passionate to become an entrepreneur and small business owner and do, you know, these long, difficult hours that it can sometimes be? So people, I'm sure, are interested in hearing about you and your journey to doing what you're doing today.
Well, it's interesting that we're talking about the entrepreneurial journey, because around me I've got workmen, I've got dogs barking, I've got puppies stealing my undies. So, you know, welcome to another day in small business. Hey, it's like, yeah, what's going to keep us on our toes? So how did I get started? Look, I've always loved stories. As a kid, my nose was always in a book. So, you know, when you get to that age of, 10, 11, and people start saying to you, what are you going to be when you grow up? And I knew what I wanted to be. You know, one of my favorite shows, I think this shows what a strange person I am, was 60 Minutes. And I used to stand in front of the mirror, holding my hands and practice talking to the camera, inspired by Ray Martin and Liz Hayes, Jeff Monroe, those incredible old school journos who asked the hard questions and got into the heart of the story. And it's like, that's what I want to do. I love talking to people. I love finding out what makes them tick. So I ventured into journalism, then moved into corporate comms. And when my last role was made redundant, someone said, well, why don't you start your own business? Like, you know how to work with the media and how to get stories out there. And I was like, oh, I'd never even thought of starting business. I always just thought I'd move up the corporate ladder until I took over the world and then would retire. So that was 10 years ago this month, where, I went to work and someone went, sorry, we don't want you anymore. And I dipped my toe into the small business water, and here I am down the track. And I think what really at the heart of everything I do is this really deep, I'm going to go deep again, desire to encourage people to share their stories. Because growing up as a kid, we moved a lot. So I didn't have a lot of friends. So books became my friends, like The Secret Seven and The Famous Five and Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys. And, by reading that, even though they were fictional, but they still inspired me to have adventures and to ask questions. And that's what we can do for other people by sharing our stories and sharing our successes, especially I'm going to use the real stories, not the sunshine and rainbows and the unicorns and sequins, but the stories of trials and tribulations and challenges and wins and successes and, the moments when we doubt ourselves, because that's where we learn and that's where we grow and that's when we're inspired.
Wow, and I'm so inspired hearing about your story, and so many people will see themselves in your journey, in your evolution, quite happily going along, finding that niche from early on, which I think is lovely about, you know, you love stories and you love 60 Minutes with Ray Martin and the clock tick, 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 tick. And in those days, in those older days, they did ask some really, you know, hard-hitting and serious kind of questions. And that journey from there into the corporate world and career, and then, yeah, that resilience once, you know, you had lost that role, and bouncing back and recognizing that your passion and what you really love doing in life is helping people to share those deep, 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 really authentic and really successful stories about what they've been doing, showing the ups and downs and not just all of the gloss around it. With all of that wonderful and extraordinary in many ways understanding of yourself and understanding of your journey, and then helping others to share their journeys too. Annette, what do you think today? What does success now really mean to you? With so much success in so many areas and so many different awards, what does success now mean to you?
Success, such a good question, isn't it? Because, you know, everybody's got a definition of different definition of success. But for me, success is really about waking up in the morning and knowing I'm happy, I'm healthy, those around me feel supported and cared for, that, you know, I'm doing the things that I love to do. That's success. I'm not forced to go to a job that I hate, or, you know, I get, even though small business is challenging, it's my choices and my decisions that dictate my life and my future journey. So, you know, I love money. Money loves me. Do you hear that, universe? Money loves me, but it's not my driver and it's not my definition of success. I think, you know, when I'm lying in my bed, when I'm 104 years old and, you know, I'm reflecting on the end of my life, it won't be how much money I had in the bank. It'll be the relationships that I had with my family. It'll be the relationships that I have with those in my community and the people who are special to me that personify success. That also, that when I'm gone, that people cry and they wail and gnash their teeth because I'm no longer on the planet. You know, you've made an impact.
Exactly. You know, they look at all of the awards and they have those memories and those stories. It's not like you're saying the physical award or the physical money. It's the relationships and the stories behind all of that.
Yeah.
And I love that you recognize that it's you know, you're still busy, and it's still very, very busy as a entrepreneur, but it's, you know, your choices and your decisions and that health and happiness and the support around you are really wonderful, and full is the word that comes to mind, full look and view of what success means to you. With all that you do and helping people so much to be in the public eye, and it's not always that comfortable, I know, for people. There's still many people that would rather die than be in front of other people presenting. What do you think are some of the mindset elements around, what tips and suggestions do you have for how people can be either more comfortable in their skin or more comfortable presenting that creates that mindset for success?
Yeah, it might surprise people that I'm actually not comfortable in standing up in front of people by nature. I'm an introvert. My favorite place to be is on the couch with my husband next to me, watching television, not talking to anybody. I find, interviews and standing up in front of people really draining, because it's like, oh my God, everybody's looking at me. So when I started my business, one of your first and most important job is marketing yourself. And so many people in small business go, oh, I don't like marketing, or I'm uncomfortable with it, or I can't do sales, or I don't want to do this and I can't do that, and I don't want to do this. And for me, the switch came down to is, well, why are you doing this, Annette? Like, what's the real reason? Like, what's your purpose here? And my driver is to help others share their stories, because stories are important. It's what connects us. It's how we learn. It's how we grow. It's, you know, what brings us together. And I realized in my head that if I was going to let all of my fears and doubts stop me, then that was, I'm going to say it, that was really selfish, because what was the point in starting something that I couldn't see through to the end? Because if I wasn't prepared to market myself and put myself out there, then I was always just going to be the best kept secret. And there are so many businesses out there who have got amazing solutions to problems, you know, from services to products to coaching to, you know, everything in between. But they let doubt and fear stop them. So for me, invest in yourself, you know, actually be honest with yourself. Like, don't go, I don't like Facebook marketing because I think it's stupid. It's far deeper than that. You know, it comes back to, everything comes back to fear. You know, we don't do things not because, you know, we don't know how to do it, or, you know, we make excuses, but we do it because we're scared of something. It might be scared of success, scared of failure, scared of people saying things about us, scared of, you know, all of those things that we're scared of. So you know, first thing that you do, you need to acknowledge what's going on inside your head. And then that might be counseling, therapy, coaching. You know, for me, it was writing a book, you know, reading books, listening to podcasts, but really acknowledging that there is something stopping you. And then once you know, you cannot.
So just if we kind of pause there for a moment, because this is really, really powerful and wonderful stuff. So I just want to quickly reflect what you were sharing with people, because I think that that key point there that you were sharing around investing in yourself. So recognizing that whatever it is that you're setting out to do and you're wanting to do, that you will naturally have some fear come up and fears around it. And within that fear, some of the wonderful points that you were sharing there were around kind of getting over yourself. And if you have trouble doing that and can't seem to do that, then investing in the books, the research, the education, the coaching to help you to do that. And I think, and sorry to interrupt, but I think that these are really important points to kind of pull out of what, you know, when looking back at your journey and seeing what helped you and what suggestions you have for others around successful tips. These are really gold tips, you know, recognizing that you're more comfortable on the couch with the husband, but that for your business, and to share the message about your business, to share it in a way that people are listening and hearing, means being extrovert, means being high energy, and all of those things, so that people hear it. And so that journey, I love how you're sharing this journey, that journey from the couch to sharing that high energy and that extrovert, takes things like self-reflection, reading books, doing courses, and some coaching. I think that these are really wonderful insights that you're sharing.
Thank you. Like I truly believe that unless you acknowledge what the problem is and you're honest with yourself, is that that mindset will, you know, finding the right mindset will always be a challenge for you, because you're never addressing front on what the real problem is. And I think that is a foible of being a human, is that we try to blame everybody, we try to renege our responsibility, we try to find every other single reason not to work on ourselves. You know, it's the reason why, you know, when people, you know, have a terminal illness, then all of a sudden they change their life and they're eating the right foods. Why don't we do that like before it happens? You know, we seem to have to wait till we're in pain to make changes. So I always encourage people, just look at yourself in the mirror and be honest with yourself, even for the first time in your life, because when you do that, oh my God, it's incredible what can happen for you. And you know, I'm not talking, it doesn't have to be, oh, you're going to earn $1 million. It's about that satisfaction and that comfort that you find in being yourself. And I think that's the most wonderful thing I love about my life at the moment, is that for the first time in 53 years, I actually it's not that I don't care, but I just show up as me. I just, I make inappropriate jokes. I swear a lot. I'm being very good today, Michelle. I just thought I'd let you know. I own my mistakes. I take responsibility for the things that I stuff up. But it feels good because I'm living congruently with what I think of myself in my head and what I'm reflecting from the outside. So if you're struggling with any facet of business, it will always come back to you. And I say to people, there are so many tools that you can use to grow your business, to grow your mindset, to do all of the things to improve. And the biggest tool in your business is yourself. And you just have to decide what type of tool you are. Are you a useful one, or are you just a tool who's getting in your own way?
And I love that. Are you a tool that's supporting you to do your job, live your life, or are you a tool that is a blocker in a sense? And many people talk about imposter syndrome, self-sabotage, all of these different labels, if you like, or aspects around. I love the word you used there, which was congruent. So that congruency, which I know from my experience, and I'm hearing from yours as well, can be, a little bit difficult at first to kind of go, yeah, I need to own that. That is me. I understand this is who I am. But it's who you are at that moment in time. It's not, fixed, like you have 5 fingers or whatever. It's not a fixed, it's things that you can change. And that's what excites me in this mindset space, when people start to feel empowered and they know that, well, actually, I was on the couch and I didn't think that I could get out of the couch because I'm an introvert. And now I'm, out here showing other people how they can go overseas and win awards. And, that journey, you're such an example to many people of that journey. And similarly, the shift in that mindset comes from that beautiful word being congruent, recognizing I'm comfortable on the couch, but I'm more comfortable helping people to share their stories. And that's what I'm here for.
And there was a really good book that actually, there's a couple, The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. It was a real game changer for me, because we live in a world of instant gratification. We've kind of forgotten that you have to put in the time and the effort if you want to lose weight, if you want to grow a brand, if you want to build a friendship, if you want to train a dog, it takes time. And that book for me just really solidified that if anything is worth having, it's worth working towards, and it's worth, the sacrifices and the learnings and the pitfalls and the bruised knees and the celebrations, because every step that you take towards that goal gets you there. But if you go, oh, this isn't working, it's taking too long, then you've kind of missed the point about life, is that, nothing lands on your lap. You have to work for it. You have to put in the effort, and you've got to work on yourself. And another one was Carol Dweck's, I can never remember what it's called, but it's a growth or fixed mindset. And if you really want to continue to learn and grow in life, you've got to get out of these, little boxes that you've got in your head that says that you can't do things or you can't be things. Humans will always doubt themselves. We will always find reasons to avoid pain and change and things like that. But if you embrace that opportunity of growing and learning, even if it's just one step at a time, you'll look back on your life and you'll go, I'm really glad that I had that talk to myself in the mirror, because it's changed my life in ways that I never thought that it could. And that's what I do every day. It's like, I'm happy to share the stupid things that I do. I spoke at an event the other night called Fuck Up Gold Coast, which was about the mistakes I've made in business. And oh my God, I'm sure I've made more mistakes than I've had successes. And I'm happy to share those, because we live in a world now where on social media, it's all curated, and, everyone's got a branding book, and, you've got to wear your brand colors, and you've got to show up, and you don't tell people about the things that don't go right. And I say, you know what? They're the stories I want to hear, because they're the ones that remind me that we're all human and that none of us are perfect.
I love that that relatability element of what we're talking about the stories and the humanness. So it sounds like a really interesting conference. The things that I've messed up or fucked up the conference, and that whole. Thank you for sharing those two books and those two very, very wonderful suggestions around, you know, what they're looking at. And firstly, the time, recognizing that, you know, life is a journey and it does take time to shift things and to stay with it and to stick with it. And the growth mindset, I think that we can see more and more with the pace of technology, the pace of this, the pace of that, that thirst or hunger, if you like, to continuously learn and continuously grow is something that's very important for everybody to work out what is their own individual pace. You know, if you need to go and be a couch potato and binge on Netflix for a day every couple of weeks, then recognize that that's part of what keeps you going and your engine running, and don't feel guilty about it. Just recognize, you know, that that's you. Or if your flavor is to go and do something like playing golf, you know, all weekend, every weekend, because it's your downtime and your break. But it's that recognizing what it is that recharges and keeps you going. And that every day I love, because people watching will be interested in, well, you know, it's okay to say it's a journey. It's okay to say this or say that, but recognizing that every day it's owning, well, I screwed that up. I did this well. And, you know, that was something that I don't need to think about. In fact, Greg Norman, years ago, I heard when he was talking about at the end of his golf matches, and he played through each stroke in his mind at the end of the game to just kind of refine, well, I did that well, so I keep doing that, but I didn't do this as well, so this is what I need to learn from it. And I think that people doing that, you know, in their lives intermittently, reviewing, well, I did that and I screwed it up, so owning it, that was okay, and this is what I need to learn from is really important.
Don't you find, Michele, that this pursuit of perfection, that I don't know where it's come from, is, I think it's one of the most damaging things to humanity that I've ever experienced, because it's basically setting people to fail from the get-go. You know, Stephen Hawking, you know, one of the smartest men on the planet, said for the universe to be in this place where it is and for us to have been created, there was a whole lot of things that went wrong. So he says, if the universe isn't perfect, why do you expect to be perfect? And it's like, you know, when you think and you ponder on that, you meditate on that, you go, oh, you mean it's actually okay to be flawed and to make mistakes? And, you know, I know when I worked in corporate, I always had a problem with, you must be professional. And it's like, what does that mean? You know, like I'm not going to hit someone over the head with a brick because they annoy me. But, you know, how about we bring into it, why don't we run human businesses? Because as human beings, we need to remember and support each other and acknowledge that there is no perfection, that we make mistakes, that things go right, things go wrong. And when we can suspend that judgment and infuse more compassion into how we interact with each other, I think that we'll probably see a happier planet, because we're not all nitpicking at each other going, oh, you didn't edit that document properly, there was a mistake in it. And it's like, well, you know what, is the world going to end? Is the sun going to crash into the earth? No, let's focus on what's important, and that's on, you know, lifting everybody up so that we can prosper and we can grow together. I sound like a hippie now.
Well, no, you've moved on to one of my favorite parts of this topic, which is around kindness, because everything you're sharing about, you know, being human, not perfect, and, you know, that pursuit of perfect can be quite damaging. I'm sure you've seen many, many women going, well, I'm not going to look at women's magazines because they're just designed to make me feel bad about myself. They're actually not designed to show me beautiful things. They're all photoshopped, etc. So that they're showing an unrealistic view of people, of life, of this, of that. And so that's why I love, in a sense, this counter movement towards being more human, being more real, being more authentic. And for me, a big part of that is, yes, being kinder to yourself and to others. So recognizing that people have good and bad days. You know, they're not always going to be the perfect model employee, or you're not going to be the perfect model employee. You're going to have days where, you know, the kids make you grumpy, or, you know, your favorite soccer team won or lost, or football team won or lost. So recognizing that humanness is, you know, something that is really, I think, very important. With all of the success and with all of the global growth that you've had with Audacious, what do you think would be the number one thing in terms of creating that successful mindset that you might share with people about how they can do that for themselves or build that for themselves in their business?
Well, Bear's just joined me because I feel he's got something to say on this. I think, you know, like, and Bear just reminded me, it's remember to find joy in life, that there is actually opportunities every day, even when things feel the bleakest or the hardest, to just take a moment to go, you know, what a beautiful day. Look at the blue sky. Or, you know, what a cute little puppy, you know, who's full of life and got the zoomies and showing us that, you know, curiosity and inquisitiveness is really important. And then you've got the old dog going, you know, just let me lie here and do nothing. So I think that as we move through our days, is that, you know, just to remember that, you know, life is complex and it's never just one thing at one time. There's always lots of things going on and lots of ways that we can look at the world. And, you know, and I guess that, I'm not plugging here, but I wrote a book a few years ago called How to Eat a Shit Sandwich and Keep Smiling. And at the heart of that was acknowledging that, look at all of these bad things that happened to me. You know, this was my early life, but I didn't let that define who I am or who I was and where I was going. You know, at the time it was horrible, but when I look back, I'm grateful, and I acknowledge that there were some really valuable lessons that I learned. You know, would I have preferred that it didn't happen? Absolutely, but it did happen and I can't change it. So always look forward, and always look forward for ways that you can, you know, put a smile on your face. You know, one of my favorite things to do every day is to go sit in the sun for 10 minutes. And I might poke my phone, or I might just lie there and I'll look at the clouds, or I'll listen to the birds, or, you know, I'll go walk in the garden with my shoes off just so I can ground myself and feel the earth between my feet, because it really is the simple things that remind you that life is worth living, and that all of that other stuff is just peripheral baggage that we carry with us. You know, we can choose whether we're going to let it hinder us or let it lift us.
Wow, so truly, truly inspirational, and such beautiful, beautiful words there, Annette. And I'm sure people listening will be so interested and perhaps even want to reach out and hear some more, or connect with you some more. So what would be the best way for people to connect with you? Just having fun with the mute here, sorry.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that clicking going, why aren't you working button? Just work. Isn't it funny how stressed we get when technology doesn't work, because we feel we're letting the other person down, but they probably have had the same challenges as what you have. And it's kind of like, you know what, it'll happen. It's just
I was feeling the joy. I was thinking, feel the joy, feel the
Feel
joy.
the joy, feel the joy. Yes, I'm feeling the joy. Oh, like, I've got my beautiful puppy lying on my lap. He's keeping my legs warm. So it's kind of like, you know, Michele will hang on for like 10 seconds. So how do people get in contact with me? Look, I'm all over Facebook. You just need to go and search Annette Densham. I'm actually fairly certain I'm the only Annette Densham on the planet. Oh, how cool's that? You know, I'm always up for a chat. You can connect with me on Facebook, and we can have a chat through Facebook, or have a phone conversation, or a Zoom conversation, or, you know, smoke signals or carrier pigeon. contact me through the Audacious Agency, such as theaudaciousagency.com, and there's a button there on the homepage that says chat. You can book in a time to have a chat with me, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty sure I'm on most of the social media platforms that are out there. Welcome to my puppy dog parrot.
How beautiful. And the final question, because I can see that somebody wants more playtime. The final question for today is around, if you were to give your younger self some advice, what might that advice be?
Oh, I think about this all the time. I love this question. I've pretty much written a book about it, but I think the most important thing that I would tell the young Annette is to seek advice, but listen to your gut, because not everybody has your best interests at heart. And quite often when people are giving you advice, especially unsolicited advice, it's more about them than it is about helping you. So take it with a grain of salt, weigh up the pros and cons, and then trust your gut, trust your heart, because you know what the right path for you is. You listening, Bear?
What fabulous, fabulous advice. And Bear's at an age where I'm sure he's hearing the information, but it'll make sense to him a bit later. So seek advice from those around you, but trust your gut. Such wonderful, wonderful advice. And Annette, it's been an absolute pleasure having you and Bear on the show today.
Yes, George was here too. There you go. There's George. He's just saying, Bear, stop annoying me, Mum.
And it's wonderful. I really love children and dogs coming on the show as well. It keeps that joy, and it keeps it, we can't quite take the show out putting our feet on the ground, but it keeps it very real for me. So thank you, Bear, and thank you, George, for joining Annette on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me and asking such wonderful questions. It's, you know, I'm really grateful because, you know, that little 10-year-old Annette who used to hide in the library from the school bullies, and because I was always the new kid, I think so, I still pinch myself to think that here I am. I'm running a really successful business. I've won awards. People want to talk to me. Like, people want to talk. Sometimes I still go, people want to talk to me, like they want to hear from me. And I had a lady the other day say, oh, I don't come up to you at events because, I find you a little intimidating. And I went, me? I said, I obviously need to tell you more poo jokes, because I'm not intimidating at all. I think that your perception of me is what's clouded the type of person I am. I'm always up for a chat. So if you ever see me out and about, please come and lick my face. Come and say hello, because I love people. And if I can inspire and encourage, or even just give you a hug, then please reach out to me.
And what joy, and what a beautiful, beautiful, warm spirit there. So thank you again, Annette and George, and everybody else for coming on the show today. And to the viewers, thank you again for coming on the show. And it's been such an absolute pleasure hearing such wonderful, wonderful, insightful and joyful tips from the lovely Annette. Thank you, Annette.
Thank you.
And to all the viewers, thank you again for joining us today on the show. It's been such an absolute pleasure, and we love to get the feedback and hear from you about how much you're enjoying the show. But for now, from my heart to your heart, be great, be fabulous, and be you.